Thanks for the introduction, Gabo. Yeah, so this is a little bit about me, but I think you have seen my face around the conference enough. But this is my contacts, and I'll publish the slides. So as you see, I'm a partner boutique consultancy, and actually, what do I do in my daily work? So I work with clients, and the promise from Königsweg is we enable clients. We don't try to sell them PowerPoint slides. They are maybe 5% sometimes, but we try to enable them on the level they need. So my daily work is to train people, to consult on strategy, how to build data pipelines, where to go, and what the possibilities of AI are. And interesting, like how did I come to this talk, like AI for managers? Because actually last year I basically had a blind spot, because my background, a little bit more about my background. My first career, actually, with 27, I was COO of an independent record company, so I know the management hat a bit and how to have employees, and we had a software problem, and we were not able to solve it. There was no software for our use case. So I taught myself programming, and this is probably one reason I'm standing here nowadays. So how did I come to this talk? It was actually, I talk a lot to people at conferences, to data scientists, developers, engineers. I talk to clients, I talk to managers, and actually what I found out is was quite surprising, because mostly the tech is not the main problem. So after all these good talks, and they were honest and safe environments, and before I share what I learned with you on the perspectives, let me a little bit learn about you. So who is in more a tech role, like developer, data scientist, or okay, well, and who's more in a managing role? Okay, right. Okay, so let me explain you managers then a little bit better. So I give you some perspectives. So first, the data scientist / engineer developer role. So what I learned, what people tell me when I talk to them, many data scientists are frustrated in companies because they cannot live up to their full potential. Many tell them, I'm highly trained, but I basically work as an analyst. They say the company is not well prepared for data science in general. It's problematic to get access to data because everybody knows we should do something, but many people don't know how. Especially in enterprises being along for a while, the whole tech stack is just like a big patchwork. So they were 220 good decisions over 40 years, but now if you align them, it's a very bad decision now. So it's a patchwork. It's really hard to struggle. Also, people lack. They miss people making decisions. Can I do this with the data? And basically, very often in a large enterprise, to say, I don't know, is the better option. It's not okay, let's try, let's bring this forward. So this is what I hear from data scientists in companies. But also, I don't want to generalize. It's not every data scientist. So I also know happy data scientists, and they say they have easy and then compliant access to data. They have access to domain expertise in their company. So they are the company is aware. It's not just okay, this is a data science problem. Let's move this to the data science department and solve them. No, it's teamwork with the actual department. So they work in teams. They feel they can drive innovation and also bring value for the company. And let me also give you some manager perspectives. So I did some research on that. What do managers actually do? So this is what managers actually spend time on. And you see, most of the stuff is more administration. There is some, and only a small part is actually strategy and thinking about innovation. It's only 10%. And I got this from Harvard Business Review. So I think this is a very good source for that. And also, in the same study asked, which skills do you think you will require? And this is also quite interesting because they think you read like digital technology, data analysis, interpretation. So this is actually like data science is like one of the top topics, but you see like the people skills are pretty low. And I think this is a big mistake. And this is a big mistake I, from my programmer or data scientist perspective, made the same. Because all the tech I do is great, is so innovative, we can change the world basically, like every startup can change the world with this tech. And I learned, no, like working with people, like making safe environments, like talking to them, like really having real conversations and not just like buzzword bingo, is a skill and is something we need to develop, and both sides need to understand each other better. And this is basically what the talk is about. So what I usually do is I do a talk, or do this very often, so let's Google it, AI for managers, and this is what we see. Of course, it's my favorite white robot again. It's like it's always like the same images you see at Google. But interestingly, what happens if you Google replacing managers? So this is the perspective, and what basically Google just crawls the web and makes this information searchable. So actually there's a lot of stuff around replacing managers with AI, technology replacing managers, and there's a big buzz going on like managers can just replace by AI because AI is super smart, and once you start to work with it, you learn that AI can do like impressive things, but I've never seen a smart AI. The better, just like to have a better comparison here, I also did the same for data scientists. So it's more like an open question, will AI replace data scientists? So it's really good. And actually, it also fits to that our data engineers are probably one of the best paid people currently. Actually, if you try the same with data engineer, there's nothing. Oh, wow, that's a safe spot. But so to get also to get perspective. So basically, I think this is how many people feel like when they hear about all the buzzwords. I mean, we have to see. The cloud providers are beating the drum. Oh yeah, you can do data science with cloud providers. We have all these great tools, and you can have Colab notebooks, Azure notebooks. Basically, they're all like Jupyter notebooks anyway. You can have so they are really good, and many companies started to adapt it from startups to promise products which are basically almost ready. And everybody is really moving at a really high speed. Actually, it's quite impressive to see open source tools adopted by major enterprises at that pace. It's pretty impressive. And so in all that, people, especially managers, because they never make their hands dirty like programming, so they lack the experience and the feeling and the real obstacles we have to face when we try to realize a project. So they're more like this, buzzword here, all Kubernetes there, Hadoop over there. And so I would like to introduce a little bit where I and my team stand, how we solve this actually, or how we propose to solve this for the future, because it's for us it's very important. We want to enable clients. I don't want to sell hours or something like that. For me, it's okay. The client has a problem. Let's enable the client, and no matter what. One big problem is actually tech data and AI literacy. So many people really lack a deeper knowledge about the tech. Of course, everybody has heard the buzzwords, but can you really describe it? Can you really do you really know how important domain expertise is in the whole field? Because I think 2 years ago, the PyData Warsaw, one of the keynote speakers asked, with all data scientists in the room, who is actually working on a project where the data scientist has domain expertise as well? And 20% of the people raised their hands. And I think this is also like very often misperception. You can just move this is how many enterprises work. You have a problem and you try to move it to the desk of a colleague, just like to get rid of it. And I think, or to another department, because then we have less work. We're humans, yeah, we have to see this as well. So you just give the problem to a data science department, which might be allocated in IT, and then people trying to solve a problem, but the one question is, are they really solving the real problem? So the first question is always, what's the real problem? How would we solve this without data science or AI? And I just want to walk you through some misperceptions I have learned in the field. So one misperception is bigger is better. So let's get a Hadoop cluster, because we have data. Hadoop can handle any amount of data. So we're in a safe spot. We even haven't asked the question, how much data do we actually have? So do we have a lot of data to deal with, or do we have less data and maybe have more a complex problem to solve? This is like two very different technologies required. But also in defense of people, I heard it, companies bought a Hadoop cluster before they had the first data scientist. But if you also, yeah, we all laugh from our perspective, stupid, but actually it's not stupid. It's just a different thinking. For example, think about you're a company producing things. You order the machine and then you hire the people operating the machine. And for them, in the perception, for us, Hadoop is software. For them, it's probably more a machine crunching data. So, and this is like one misperception. Or for me, like especially I like Hadoop. Actually, the Hadoop ecosystem is facing problems currently. There's like 3 companies, 2 merged. One has problems, so it's not all not everything's prospering Hadoop. So actually, it's quite interesting what's happening there. And nowadays, basically, for me, the new Hadoop, which is also Hadoop is a great technology. Don't get me wrong. For me, the new Hadoop is Kubernetes. If you go to a client, everybody says, "Oh yeah, we need Kubernetes." But yeah, we are just like building models and trying to solve the problem. What do you think we can solve with Kubernetes? So yeah, it's Kubernetes. It's basically, it manages all the machines and the resources, and there's nothing we have to do. Sometimes it's really hard to stand up. Say, no, we don't need Kubernetes. We maybe just need one server to solve models, to see where we're going, to further the project. Of course, in the future, we will use Kubernetes, but we will use it when we go to production, when we have maybe 100 clients, 1,000 clients, a million clients, we have to serve, okay, then we need Kubernetes. But we have to focus on solving the problem and not solving the problems of Kubernetes, because there's not one Kubernetes. There's Kubernetes on Azure works a little bit different, and Kubernetes on Azure or AWS or Google Cloud. So it's not just like Kubernetes is the all-solving problem. And there's many updates and many things you have to learn. So it's not just like, click here, Kubernetes, everything's working. You need people to operate and have experience how to operate this as well. This is very often forgotten. Another perspective is data lakes are where there was. So we have a big company, we have a lot of data. So let's just put them all in a data lake and draw the data out of this. So we have this clean lake with all the data. We just like need a hub. We can just pull the data in, or as we basically describe. So basically we tell our clients, this is just like an abstract, it's just a concept. So a data lake can involve many, many systems, file storage, databases, ERP systems, basically everything. It's more like a concept to think about. But it doesn't really solve your real data problems, because it only solves probably a storage problems, and it maybe helps accessing the data. But still, you have to think about the company culture, where we come back to the humans, because you need a company culture. People appreciate data, also like save data in the right spot, add metadata, the right metadata to the data they save. But I think many just throw them on some drive and it's forgotten. And I know companies that build like crawlers to basically to understand what data they actually have, because it's many people involved, so this is just natural. Somebody is more or less careful, leaves the company in a good tone, in a bad tone, and more or less maybe is cleaning up or not. So actually, company culture can help. The governance of the data and also curation of the data is important. It's not just like, it's not a tech solution, it's again a human. We have to solve this as humans, we have to evolve, build a healthy culture. We also see very often, well, we've seen this before. This is just hype. Sorry for the typo. So, and actually, let me put some evidence to this. Here you see some covers of MIT's Technology Review. That's MIT Technology Review goes back to 1879, and MIT has they put them all online. So we see 1985, we see technology automation, fix them up automation. We see 1986, will artificial intelligence ever deliver on its promise? And in the middle, we see like 1984 as experience nowadays with Stranger Things. Another fun fact, now this continues actually. There's something from the end of the 90s. Can computer create literature? And how to keep mature industries innovative in 1987. So also like we think we're having all these new AI and data problems and perspectives and dreams what computers can do and help us build. And actually this goes like really way back. And if you had been in EuroPython in Rimini, also there's a really interesting keynote by Catherine Germaud. She actually told what people thought that innovated AI, because many people are not aware AI is like super old. AI predates databases. This goes back to the 40s. So there was always like obstacles. Yeah. So there were multiple stops and dark ages or AI winters where somebody important wrote a book and said, okay, the XO problem it's not solvable actually, and this put AI to sleep. But which were the challenges? Not enough data, not enough computational power. But we see as the electronics evolve, software evolves, we see more and more of these problems are being solved, and we know after basically the beginning of the 2000s, deep learning researchers were like experts on these conferences. Now they are the superstars. So the tides have changed. Basically, it's like upside down now. So you see, this is like a history, but actually it's like waves, and then we hit certain limits until more data, or the technology and computational power solves this. And also, where do we actually stand with deep learning and artificial intelligence and machine learning? Because nowadays everything's artificial intelligence, and yeah, okay, it's basically just this. There's artificial intelligence, basically the whole field. With machine learning is a part, and deep learning is another part here. So basically, it's not a new technology. Many people don't know, we talked about data science, machine learning like 2 years ago. It was a big hype, and now it's deep learning. Is this something different? No, it's basically the whole thing, it's just in a family. Also, it's not actually new. And actually, all the questions and challenges, because actually I visited the applied machine learning conference in Lausanne earlier the year, and actually Gary Kasparov was was talking here. Who remembers or knows who Gary Kasparov is? Okay, I have a few. So let me give you a quick talk. Gary Kasparov was the superstar of chess. He was basically the Magnus Carlsen of its time. And you see here, and he was basically playing chess against an IBM computer. Basically, this is this very similar moments we experience with the deep mind and playing StarCraft or solving Go nowadays. So at that time, many of the innovators or like theoretical innovators of the technology we use here, like Turing or Norbert Wiener, Alfred Binet, they all thought, if a machine is able to, like chess is the game of kings, so once a machine is able to beat a human in chess, the machines have won it. So obviously this was like in the 90s, and Gary Kasparov was the brain's last stand. He was our last hope, and actually nowadays he's giving talks. Actually, he's also like saying, hey, this was a good experience. He's not at all against attacks. He said, here's this great tools, and this is really great. So this is actually like machine AlphaGo 0 now compared to human chess. They also like were concepts, as we would think, why not combine deep learning AI with humans? Actually, they had the same ideas then, like having like work with a computer to learn how to play better chess or have strategies. But he also put it like he put a really nice citation of Pablo Picasso also there. So computers are useless. They can only give you the answer, which is also something really nice to think about. So the problem very often is the problem seems simple as well. If you look at yourself, being really critical, and or other people, always keep in mind. Very often the problem seems only simple to solve because you actually have no clue and experience in the problem. For example, you watch the video about some new technology, and after an hour the video ends and you see, I totally got what the people told me, and so until you go to your computer or somebody asks you, can you please reproduce what you have just learned, and then you will probably have this moment, again, because the brain actually is very good in making us feel good. Okay, we've understood it. Just like these cloudy ideas, and very often. So this is nice. This is a nice experience, but we have to also be critical. Say, okay, maybe it's also like our brains just giving us a good feeling and tricking us a bit. So very often we see over-ambiguous imagineering, like, okay, we can solve this and this and this and that. We can forecast things without actually having experimented on it at all. And also, very often, because there's a deadline and there's some deliverable, premature shipping of technology which has not really been well understood, just produces some output which looks nice, but I think it's very important to check that, to explain what actually models deliver and why, and whether there's a bias in the data set, and whether it has an ethical standard as well. So it's, yeah. So there's also personalities. So, because I have been bragging a lot about like managers now, let's brag a little bit about data scientists. So, actually, just like last week, I saw a talk by Peter Baumgartner, and you see already, and he had basically built some really good personas for projects in his work. He's working at a research institute. So you see there's like, Anodyne Andy doesn't know the problem, but wants to see what things can do. You have Easy Ed. You have Show Off Sarah, who just wants to do AI. So maybe you have a look later at the slides. I don't want to go through all of them. But you see, it's always like really important also to understand what are the personalities of the peers and the team you're working, and also how to deal with them and to handle them, but also in a respectful way, because sure, if Sana wants to do AI, but basically maybe this is not a bad thing. She's maybe just like a curious person, like, and she wants to do innovate. So this is not necessarily a bad thing, but we have to basically agree upon, okay, step by step, use a minimal version first, and then improve and see how far we can get. There's also a blog post. I put the link there. And also, like for big enterprises, IT is the wrong track very often. So I Googled IT and I was very surprised. So maybe it gets the sense how IT department feel, but actually, yes, I didn't expect that. But very often, data science and AI projects are allocated to the IT department, which is, I think, very wrong, because data science and AI is research and development. So we need an open culture, a curious culture to learn things. We have to do experiments. We have also budget-wise prepare. Something might fail, but we might have another finding. And it's not just like it's not just like, okay, buy this from Microsoft or any other cloud provider, and they solve it anyway. It's very different. So we also have to see what do we have the data, which domain expertise do we have. Also, many companies actually also struggle that senior people leave the company and we lose the knowledge and there's not new people coming. So it's not just like about replacing people. Actually, we are losing a lot of knowledge nowadays because many people, like I think, well, I call it the baby boomers, are becoming pensioners now. So we have to deal with this as well. It's not about replacing. It's like basically also keeping the knowledge and keep things going. And actually, quite unsurprisingly, clients reached out to me and said, okay, we've seen your talk. So have given different talks on deep learning for fun and profit last year. And actually clients reached out and said, can you do this, give this talk at our in-house conference as a keynote? And I was quite surprised. Why? Because I always feel like a little bit like, yeah, this is funny and experimental and I learn a lot. Where do you actually see the value for your people there? And they tell me, no, I think how you present it is very good to make them understand the AI. So I want to share a little bit of what I did. So if you have probably heard about style transfer, learn on a French comic and take a modern DC comic and apply this. So basically I drew a modern DC comic into a French comic style. And you can also do like this, take Piazza della Foresta in Florence, Google some Avengers, just copy and paste them, no Photoshop involved, just copy, paste and preview here on the Mac, and it's like a 5 minutes project actually, and apply style transfer. So basically I trained an AI model to learn the style of the comic, apply this, and I said, okay, this is a nice picture. If we use half the resolution of the input picture, so now the picture size is now half, it will look different, and also the style transfer will look different. If you, for example, you can also go and say, we take a higher contrast, which looks like this then. And if we put it there, also like the style looks a little bit different. But fun fact, for example, we can also use a black and white version. And if we apply the style, unexpectedly it's not changing so much. So here you have a really very good combination on input-output levels to see, okay, data quality matters, which we will see in the next demo. And also to have a very good connection, input data, output data, model, and also maybe mistakes or artifacts being produced. So if you want to learn more about this, I talked about this extensively last year's EuroPython, PyData Berlin, and also especially on the audio stuff I'm going to show you now in just like in PyData Amsterdam a few weeks ago. So yeah, you can just Google me. So the next example I want to show you is Tacotron 2. Tacotron 2 is a neural net, which is a little bit more complicated. The key takeaways is you can just like take audio snippets, take the text, and Tacotron 2 will solve the rest. So it basically learns on spectrograms. And this is what I did.
Once upon a time there was a little mermaid named Siren who lived with her stepmother under the sea. She didn't get to go out of the sea like any other.
So this took like 9 days of training. It can now read any English text without any cloud, and this is the equipment used. This very MacBook and an eGPU. 9 days of training with a very good data set. So this looks impressive, and I think, okay, this is my call for we have to experiment more. And also, I'm not trying to build like a speech synthesizer, but for example, we are discussing with the client we can apply this or like have like a transfer of this technology for a predictive maintenance project where sound is involved to see how the machines work. So actually, this experimentation was very helpful. But also, I have to point out, this is now, of course, my cherry-picked impressive example. Let me play you how this sounded like after 10 hours of training.
What the hell? It was in the head. And then it knew oral rings. He did. And then he went.
You see, like, this is like, after that, we could have really judged this leading anywhere. If you want to know more, check the videos out. Also, it's really nice to explain AI makes mistakes as well, and they're sometimes easier to trick than a human. That's like this nice video. It was research. So actually, this is about object detection, and the researcher on the right, the nice guy, hey, basically, he's not recognized as a person for us. We see a person, just like having this crazy picture there, and we see basically the object detection, which is basically a very good system, YOLO, doesn't really see him. Which is, okay, we have to also rethink how this technology works. Always I call it like you have like expert idiots as an eye system. Yeah, something like that. So watch this on YouTube. Speed up a bit. So I think to sum it up, it's a lot more about people in the technology, I think, because actually we need an open space to discuss new technologies, and everybody from where he comes from management, junior, senior, domain experts, and we have to get everybody on the same page. So actually, it's a big human challenge. It's actually a big. All of these projects are R&D and also like change projects. We have to get everybody like to open up, ask questions, admit I didn't get that. So this is like a really big challenge, and this is we need to put more power and energy into this. If we really want to further this technology, we have to basically involve people on any level and in many roles. It's also like another nice saying as well, like another experience is if you do, for example, an AI data science project, in a production industry, of course, you have all the data. You never have to talk to anyone on the shop floor, as we call it, operating machines. But you can get like the best insights from people working with these machines for 20 years because they have like an amazing experience and they can tell you way more than probably the data or help you to understand the problem, the solution, and whether you're actually on the right way. And this applies to any time. So my talks are never finished. So of course I'm going to finish in a bit, but I like to learn more. So if you have any experience you want to share with me to add to further iterations of this talk, please talk to me, or also my business partner Ingo is over there. He's the Care Bear in the company. So always like give us input, share the experience, because I think it's very important we understand each other way better. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think we have still time for one question. So, any questions?
Wow. All questions answered.
No?
No? Okay. Somebody has an experience you want to share? Well? Oh, yeah, we need to work on the safe zones, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can also talk later. I'm around at the conference. Just like feel free to ping me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.